Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. This is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of the upcoming game matchups. So, this Sunday, the Texans will be going on the road to face the Dallas Cowboys in a game that's not so much excitement seems to be around compared to previous matchups with Dallas in years past. So, we'll get into all that. First, I want to do just a quick game recap of Sunday's loss to the Browns. So Texans lost 27-14 to the Cleveland Browns in a game that was supposed to be much hyped because former franchise quarterback Deshaun Watson was going to make his season debut and his first ever return to Houston in this game. So a couple things with this. The Texans, they got some work done against Watson. I'm not gonna lie, but um, excuse me, energy drink hitting. Uh, they got some work done against Watson, but in all honesty, I kind of want to discount it, and I hate to discount it, but I kind of have to. You know, it was Watson's. Obviously, it was Watson's first game, serving an 11-game suspension for violating the personal conduct policy and all that personal NFL's personal conduct policy. Um, And so, he's been saying, they've been saying like, he's been practicing maybe off site or whatever. And, I'm saying he's been taking, probably just a few weeks of reps with the first team or whatever. So, in all, summarize it all, he hasn't been on his best game. He hasn't um, been at the best of, he wasn't going to put out the best of his abilities the first day back. You know what I'm saying? So, it was expected that he would probably be down a little bit. But other than that, another thing I took away from this is Texans. They showed some real fight. They showed some real fire at the right time. So they came out there. They didn't really lay down. Now, yeah, they had that first play with the interception with Toriano. He caught it and it flickered off his hand or whatever, and it went as an interception. So, but other than that, like I think the first half they showed fire just coming out, just saying, just making it look like it's going to be actually a good game. Problem is they didn't do that in the second half. Things just kind of fell flat for him, and that's very unfortunate because this is like the one game fans seem to really, really be excited about. This is the one game that you could have like just really drew the fans in with. So, um, it just ended up another Texans loss, another bad result. And so that's probably why, you haven't heard too much about the Cowboys games because, well, I'll expound on that later. But anyway, um, one thing I would do want to like kind of just make as a takeaway is it still became an I told you so game in sort of a fashion. So here you have Deshaun Watson. He went through hell in his career to get out of here, basically. He sat out for a year. As far as that massage stuff, um, look, he he got a lot of checks to dish out. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. So, but I'm just saying, like he did all that just to, you know, get to another team or whatever. And you know what I'm saying? Was it worth it to him? That's something you would probably have to ask him. He had a lot of upbeat and uprighteous things to say about the city. Nothing bad to say about the city or the organization at all during this past week. So, but still, at the same time, him coming here, there's a reason he left. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's obviously a reason that and I look, he just didn't feel like, the organization was, what I'm saying, going in the right direction. And well, we didn't prove him wrong. Like and that's the thing about this is like, yeah, he had a bad game by his standards. But at the same time, like, I'm just thinking about everything that has gone on, like going into this game. Like, one of the things that they reportedly said that Watson that forced Watson to leave was they wouldn't let him pick the coach. And look where we are with the coach. This is our second coach in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? You have that, you have players not playing up to par. Um, you just have all this stuff just going on, all this drama and everything. And it's like, who would want to stay for that? I mean, hell, you got fans. Last week they were talking about that the potential number one draft pick shouldn't even come here. It's crazy right now. And so I don't know. It became an "I told you so" game in that type of fashion. But you know what I'm saying? Like overall, it really it probably won't come out like that. It didn't come off like that initially, but if you really just think about it, it just kind of he's kind of probably like, I told you. So, but anyway, dang, do I want to talk about these fans? Like, so briefly, I'll touch on all these tweets I've been seeing about uh, the Texans should take a defensive player. I'm not even going to go into a deep dive with that. The Texans should not be taking a defensive player in this upcoming draft. They really should go after a quarterback. If they gotta get creative and move something around, you know, trade down or whatever to go get a quarterback, then do that. But they should not. Their first pick should not be, no any other player on that board. It's straight up. It's like I get it the first time. I mean, hell, we took Davis Mills third round when we didn't have no first round picks. You know what I'm saying? So you can see where their mind was at on that. And the situation wasn't even really. It wasn't even that bad. Like we had, I mean, yeah, we had Tyrod Taylor or whatever, but I mean, at least he was, a veteran in this league and somebody that got us a win that season. So it wasn't as bad as it is right now. Like right now, we don't know how this quarterback thing is going to really just play out. They put Davis Mills back in this week after having Kyle Allen in there for like 2 weeks, which seemed to do nothing at the time. So um, yeah, Texans need to stop playing around, go after a quarterback. Simple as that. And then I'll probably revisit this next week or in the next couple weeks, but yeah, stop the madness. Anyway, injuries this week. Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins are out. Derek Stingley is still out. Stingley battling a hamstring injury and an illness of some sort. I think didn't exactly see what Cooks and Collins injuries were, but um, yeah, it looks like it might be Chris Moore lined up for this week. Um, I think the Eagles game was the last time Cooks and Collins were out, and Moore had a pretty decent game. Brought in a touchdown in that game. That was also the game where we were kind of just running the ball and just spreading the ball around to the tight ends, which something I was definitely a fan of. So hopefully this week they really expound on that and what I'm saying, get that going along with involving the receivers. So with that being said about this week, let's go right ahead and get into it. The Cowboys game, man. Like I'm so I hate that the season is going the way it has because we play the Cowboys like every 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Last time we played them, we had Watson, we had Hopkins. Hopkins made that little spin move and everything to help us win the game. It was it was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? You got to you got to talk noise to your coworkers, baby mamas, baby daddies, cousins, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, aunties, grandpas, uncles, all that. You know what I'm saying? You got to talk noise to them because everybody knows if you're in the state of Texas, everybody knows a Cowboys fan within like, you know, 20 feet or 3 feet probably, you know what I'm saying, at minimum. So it's like that, you know what I'm saying, in Texas. It is what it is. And so that's why this game is so huge, especially for like, you know what I'm saying, Texans fans, because we chirp with Cowboy fans all day, in person and online. You know what I'm saying? We clown. If y'all think that the internet, if y'all think some fool from Minnesota or you know what I'm saying, South Carolina clowns Cowboy fans online. Like imagine like running into them like in your everyday part in your everyday life and talking noise to them. So that's really how it is. You know what I'm saying? For those that live outside of Texas, that really is what it's like as far as like talking trash with the Cowboys fans. They're there to talk trash to in some form or fashion in our lives. So, um, but yeah, that's what kind of makes me upset about this week's game because it's like it's really supposed to be just hype. You know what I'm saying? But it hasn't been that at all. And I think I think Texans fans have kind of spent all their energy, one on bull all the bull jiving to steal from Shannon Sharp, all the bull jive that has went on currently in the season and how things have ramped up in the last couple of weeks. Two, I think losing to Deshaun Watson is kind of like, and the Cleveland Browns kind of been like, all right, enough. So by the time we get to, by the time we all get to this Cowboys game, it's like, deep breath. Where's my second win? Like, you know what I'm saying? And in the preseason, this is one of my games that I highlighted. That I feel that yeah, before the season started, I felt like this was a game that was like going to be super important. This is going to showcase like you know what I'm saying this current group and show how much heart and competitiveness they really have, and that's obviously hasn't been the case. So with that being said, I'm gonna just go through a couple things of what I want to see the Texans do this weekend. So number one, focus on the Cowboys backfield. So Tony Pollard, he's been their primary back in recent weeks, and you know what I'm saying he's been explosive. You know what I'm saying he's been a primary factor in them just dropping points on the board. Two out of the last 3 weeks, Cowboys have put up like 40, at least 40 points. They put up 54. Yeah, 54. I would say. Let me check that because I do not watch them at all. Um, yeah, 54. I don't know why I was gonna say 52. Anyway, they put up 54 against the Colts this past Sunday, and a couple weeks before that, they put up 40 against Minnesota. So you know what I'm saying? They've been lighting it up, and part of the reason they've been doing that is because of Tony Pollard. You know what I'm saying? There's games where he'll get 100 yards rushing. There's games where he'll get 100 yards receiving. Either one of those games, you know what I'm saying? They're going to light the scoreboard up with him. So he's very much their primary back right now. Ezekiel Elliott is still there, uh, but it's just not the same Zeke. You know, he's had his injuries. He's injured a couple games this year, and so you know what I'm saying. He hasn't been quite as a he hasn't been the same running back that he was, but he's still very effective. So the Cowboys have a decent 1-2. They have a scary 1-2 punch. Just put it out there. They have a scary 1-2 punch in that backfield. So Texans have to really focus on that and find ways to like just really slow down that production. Simple as that. Number two, the secondary they have to step up. So yeah, Stingley's out again, but Petrie he's kind of coming into his own. You know what I'm saying? He's really kind of you know what I'm saying he's really kind of being a presence out there. And you know with Dak Prescott, he's thrown 5 touchdowns in his last 2 games, but he's also has 3 interceptions to go along in that same time span. Uh, so hell, the game against what was that? The game against Indy, he had a pick. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really see too much of that game, so it might have been garbage time, but he still had one. The week before that, against the Giants, he threw 2 interceptions. So you know what I'm saying? This it's still some opportunity there to really kind of like disrupt their passing game. And you know, their wide receivers haven't been, you know, the best. Their wide receiver group as a whole this season hasn't really put up much numbers. Um, but still they have CD Lamb and you know what I'm saying, he's an explosive player. You know what I'm saying? He can make big plays or whatever. So um, you know, they have him still and you know what I'm saying, he can really just kind of pick up the slack. He can kind of pick up the slack for this receiving group, but just him overall, they don't look that great as far as like they don't look that great as a group, just based off his numbers. But him alone is pretty dynamic, so we'll have to definitely put some focus on him. See how we can like slow him down and just not make him a factor in the game. But also, Petrie has got to catch his interceptions. I think it was a couple weeks ago. Might have been against the Giants or whoever, but he just had an interception and just straight up dropped it. And so, no, he's not a wide receiver, obviously, but you know what I'm saying? Just catching those, you know what I'm saying? Just making those plays and generating turnovers. That'll definitely be a help. Um, so yeah, last thing Texans got to do, or what I want to see them do, is keep the pressure on the Cowboys. So when I mean that, not necessarily talking about pass rush, but more like a mental pressure. So the Cowboys, they have everything to lose if they lose this game. And look, I know it's on paper. You're supposed to be like, oh, don't. What are you crazy? No way, Cowboys lose, blah 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 blah. But I mean, look, I didn't think Baker Mayfield was gonna. I didn't think Baker Mayfield was gonna go 98 yards and lead the Rams to a touchdown, to win to a game-winning touchdown 2 days after he signed with the team. I didn't even think he was going to be playing in that game, and so there he goes, second quarter, and doing what he does. But so I mean, anybody can look, man. Anybody can just really just get a W in this league. Like it's simple as that. Now the bad teams, it might take them a little while to get one, but they'll get one. You know what I'm saying? So um, yeah, the Cowboys they really do need this game right now. So they're 2 games behind the division in their division against the Eagles, and the Eagles they don't really have too many more. I don't think they have any more like tough opponents left. I think it's Dallas is their last opponent as like actually above 500. I have to double check, but even if above 500, just actually good. You know what I'm saying? So um, they can really just run away with this division, like just like that. You know what I'm saying? They can really Eagles can really run away with the NFC East just like that. Um, so yeah, the Cowboys they're gonna need this game way more than we do. So they're gonna it's less likely they're gonna be playing us lopsidesical, but if they do, like just catch them off guard. You know what I'm saying? So just know that their sense of urgency may or may not be heightened, um, depending on like how they come in and just start their game out. Um, reduce them. We have to reduce the mistakes. Simple as that. It's too many like errors, like too many the penalties, all that stuff. We have to reduce the mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And that's the main thing that, you know what I'm saying, that drives a lot of teams to wins when you play mistake free football, when you are focused and when you execute properly. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're gonna get the W if you do pretty much do all the right things, So reduce the mistakes. Like last week in the first quarter, I think the Texans had like back to back penalties and it became like a 1st and 30. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? You can't shoot yourself in the foot about. Keep the energy high for pressuring the Cowboys. So like I said, the Cowboys they need this game, but you know what I'm saying? You don't know you really aren't gonna know how they really come and approach us, thinking like, it's just the Texans. They ain't going nowhere. We could look ahead. We could maybe look ahead to Jacksonville and see what they got going on. But we really, what I'm saying, need to get it together before we face Philly. And so that could really be a distraction for them. So just keep that energy high and just keep being aggressive with this team because they're definitely going to be playing out of their minds if they really like come in here and just is focused on like trying to win this division. So last thing I wanted to kind of just say, and I didn't even really have a place to like put this note or detail, but take away Michael Parsons, man. Like this dude is a defensive player of the year candidate. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be everywhere as a linebacker. They might put him on that D line. He's definitely going to be um, coming after Davis Mills or whoever is under center by Sunday. So just take him away. Just focus on blocking him. You know what I'm saying? Like just because they're not just going to put him in one spot. They're going to move him around in different places so he can get the best attack that he can get. So just try to keep him out the game plan like overall and just really just take advantage of that. So though going just recapping what the Texans need to do this Sunday. Just focus on the Cowboys backfield. Um, the secondary, it has to step up in this game for real. And also, yeah, just keep the pressure on the Cowboys mentally. You know what I'm saying? Like, just just keep the energy high. Just reduce the mistakes. Play high level football against this team. So Texans do all that. I'm gonna say they'll take the win. I don't care. I'm gonna root for my team regardless of how we doing. So um, that's all I got for y'all this week. With that being said, I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. Holla black.